Yet to come. Like summer nights, rain. I'm gonna dance, tell you my name. I'm on free. You should do this here. Talk all day.
The LPL playoff finals are right around the corner, but before we get there, we have one more score to settle. Today is the third and fourth place deciding match here in the JDG Stadium of Beijing between Top Esports and Bilibili Gaming. My name is Matt and Iberia Daniel, joined here once again by Jimmy Preacher Fu. Jimmy, it's good to be back with you.
Mate, it's also a great day for League of Legends. I can't wait for it. I'm glad you're here with me because there are wider implications. Of course, we've got our finals here on Friday, but you have to stay tuned because this third place match can honestly decide everything, especially when we go into regionals as well, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
That's right, because before we get into that, let's take a look at how we got here, talk a little bit about the semifinals that landed us here. Of course, both of these teams fell to Fun Plus Phoenix and RNG respectively, both in a 1-3 fashion.
Of course, so these two teams are going to be very dominant in the finals, but once again, BLG and Top Esports is what we're going to be watching today, and honestly, they had their strengths, but they fell down because of the matchups, and it's really the style that we're going to talk to. Today is really it, because we've got so much on the line for both of these two teams. I mean, BLG is literally fighting for their lives.
Yeah, BLG, they really need to win this one. And of course, Top Esports, they've got experience being in this position. Last split, they were also in the third, fourth place match. Unfortunately, they did not make it. Fell down to FPX, but this time, they've got a chance at redemption, but there's a lot more on the line than just redemption, because if you take a look, Top Esports, if they are able to pick up a win here today, they'll be able to skip straight over to the Gauntlet Finals, and JDG will actually make their way into the bracket off last split's points.
And it's quite ironic that we're in the JDG Stadium because they have got something to lose and they're not even playing for it. So of course, even though there is pride on the line, Top, they still do want to win this one because seeded straight to the finals means you get to skip the other games, means you get to watch your potential rivals as well, and that's going to be such a huge boon. Whereas on the other side, we already mentioned it, BLG, they're fighting just to stay in, and if they win this one, they actually knocked JDG out. So that's actually a little bit of a surprise because they made such a deep run in the first split. I'm talking about JDG, of course. And when you take a look at them in the second split, you say, there weren't really high expectations for you to potentially make it, but they're not quite there.
Yeah, JDG didn't really shape up towards the end of the split, but BLG, on the other hand, they've had quite the miracle run. You know, last split, they only barely missed playoffs to Sino Dragons Gaming, now Dominus Esports. But now they've made it back. They know exactly what they need to do. They finally made it into the semifinals. They dropped down. Now this is their last chance to slot themselves into that gauntlet. And this matchup, it's going to come down to one very important lane. That's going to be the mid lane with Kuro from BLG going up against Top Esports Knight 9.
You can never talk about Top without talking about Knight. Of
That's
course,
right.
He is a prodigal mid laner. According to many analysts of the LPL region, they would even say he's the best mid laner in our region, potentially even in the world. But we won't go that far just yet. He needs to make his way to the international stage. A good chance for him to do so is obviously to win here, so he can slot his way into the finals. But he's up against Kuro as well. Now, Kuro is no stranger to international experiences. He's been in world finals multiple times. Not going to talk about that one because it was a shaky performance, but he has got that experience under his belt, and it's a real mismatch when you take a look at these two players because Knight wants to dominate his lane, whereas Kuro just wants to chill out until 20 minutes. Checking out this replay, you can especially see how much of an advantage that he brought for the rest of his team as well. Yeah, while Kuro does go in because he tries to salvage this fight, in the end, it's because Knight had such a good matchup into Kuro that allowed him to do this, and it's not the only time. Think about Knight's champion pool. He's got 18 unique champions within 2019. He's tying himself with Doinby and also Chovy in the LCK for the most amount of unique champions this year.
You've got to think about it stylistically as well. As you said, Kuro is not always going to make you the flashy outplays. That's more Knight's style. Oh, yeah. He will come into the 1v1 and he will absolutely smack you down. But Kuro plays from the backline. He plays safely. He will initiate for his team. He will do whatever it takes to get them ahead. And he'll stay safe on the Azir, stay safe on whatever he needs to be on to make those plays happen.
Yeah, of course. He's also got the Cassiopeia and the KO we remember from the regular split. But yeah, that one of the greatest weaknesses of BLG was actually their strength in their late game. I mean, there are many teams in the LPL that specialize in skirmishing, in fighting as well. And if they really take it to BLG, before 30 minutes, we said, wow, well, BLG just collapsed in upon themselves. But they found such good early game right now with their jungler, who's now been revitalized.
That's right, because Meteor this split has looked absolutely formidable as a jungler. Last split, I personally wasn't feeling too strong in his performances, especially in the early half of the split. It didn't feel like he had found his identity on BLG. Didn't feel like he'd found exactly what he was supposed to be doing the entire time. But now he has come out strong.
And look, before, we always put him into the back line. We never really talked about him much, didn't give him the limelight experience. But now, take a look at his performance. If you were talking about the regular split, maybe still so, but in playoffs especially, Shyvana, where he nearly one-shot the enemy ADC. You've also got the Qiyana as well, which now means that BLG can flex it around. And both of those champions he plays so well around the early game, that was BLG's biggest deficit. Now they finally patched it up.
Well, it's exciting too, because when you have a jungler with this level of flexibility, the Qiyana is sort of a one time you can pull that off where you bait it around and you're like, is this jungle? Is this mid? Nobody knows. Then suddenly it's a jungle pick for the first time you see it on Meteor.
Well, I wouldn't really say that, because you can still flex it around. Of course, if you're looking at Kuro, while he isn't known as the best assassin player in the world, he can still take it for his lane. So you still got those mind tricks. And once again, going back to the Shyvana, there are clear counters. If you draft a very strong bottom lane, and if you take Ignite especially, you get Dragon Control. She's completely shut out from scaling into the game. But BLG have so many tools under their in their kit that you always got to worry about it, especially in Champs League. You've got to say, do I need to ban out the Qiyana? Do I need to ban out the Shyvana? And if you expend those bans, then you actually give them something that they actually really want.
Well, when we talk about that bottom lane as well, that's somewhere both of these teams have had a little bit of a struggle, especially top esports in their series against RNG. It felt a lot like Ben and LokeN got absolutely outclassed by Uzi and Ming, which, because one of the strongest AD carries, and I'd argue the strongest support in the region, it's going to be hard to go up well against that, but they didn't have the capacity to get the rest of the map rolling without Uzi absolutely farming his way to a godlike state.
Took my words right out of my mouth, because of course you're into RNG's bottom lane where they really excel. Not only that, but also focus their jungle pressure, so maybe this is more even, because when you talk about bottom lanes, these two are not the strongest, especially if we're taking a look at playoffs. So in terms of statistics, very safe. You've got the Ezreal play coming out from both of them. Xayah, of course, with the ultimate that makes you invulnerable. So when we check that out, both of those two junglers have to influence it. And that actually ties in really nicely, because one thing that we notice when we take a look at the champion pools especially, over on the top side of top, coincidentally enough, they have champions that require a lot of attention. You've got the GP, you've got the Vladimir, ganks do them so well in the early game, whereas over on the other side, self-sufficient means that jungle attention for BLG should be focused more on the bottom side, so that's going to be a nice mismatch.
And that mismatch also, there's several mismatches here that are going to be making it interesting, because as we mentioned earlier, BLG tend to take these games longer. We've talked about them as sort of like the LCK team here in the LPL, so they tend to go for low kill games, drag it out towards the objectives, see what they can do in that later stage of the game. Their average game time is about 33 minutes. I think it's actually 33 minutes on the nose, which impressively done. Not the longest in the league, but especially recently in the playoffs, we've seen them able to, in their wins, they're able to control the teams. They're able to take those objectives, work it towards the later stage of the game. Whereas top esports, a lot of their wins, because they are a carry-focused team, you focus on Knight, you focus on 369, those two, if they pop off, they will end the game for you quickly. Get that 1-3-1 going, roll it through.
And that's the biggest worry for BLG, because if they get stomped on in lane, especially because of that jungle attention, then they might just fall down very heavily. Of course, we are turning our eyes towards that, because if they get more or less a free road into the 20-30 minute mark, then they could definitely make it. But DX Master, what have you got for us?
大家好，这里是拯救者 GDG 电子竞技中心，我是 DX Master， 欢迎各位。今天的舞台可能跟以往有一些不同，没错，因为即将要在这里举行的是我们夏季赛、季后赛的季军赛，对，季军赛。 在比赛开始之前，我想请问大家一个问题，相信你们都知道，世界第1高峰是珠穆朗玛峰，那你们知道世界第2高峰是哪里吗？第3高峰、第4高峰、第5高峰、第6高峰、第7高峰、第8高峰，或者你们根本就没有在意我在问什么？但是有那么一群人，他们可能是来自云南小镇的无知少年，可能是来自传统体育家庭的一个热血少年，也许他们是来自异国他乡的逐梦少年。他们在这个夏天翻越了一座又一座的高山，他们用自己的方式谱写着这个夏天属于他们自己的故事。他们这么做，就是为了向世人、向自己证明那颗还在熊熊燃烧的魂。他们就是Bilibili Gaming。上单 at 打野 Meteor， 中单 Kuro， 下路Jinjiao， 辅助XinMo， 教练
Yeah, DX Master coming in, just doing our entire job for us. This is the most formal we've ever seen him be.
Yeah.
Pretty sure this is.
I mean, he's in a suit, he's in a tie, he's definitely showing us up here.
What the hell? He's not in any kind of costume, timing his speech with the music. This man is polished.
And of course, we got ADD in the top lane, Meteor in jungle, Kuro in mid, Jinjiao and XinMo to round out the bottom lane, and that's where we'll have to focus because it's been a weak point.
Let's see what DX Master has for us. Of course, he's going to be introducing the other side of things. Let's see how he decides to introduce top esports.
吃着不明所以的瓜，发着言不由衷的话，但偶然间，你发现他们失误了，于是你编辑了一段刺耳的话，发了出去，将手机扔到一旁睡去了。但是这段话传到了他们的耳中，你猜怎么了？他们的心碎了，碎了一地。他们还能怎么样？他们只是弯下腰，把这些碎了的东西捡起来，捏吧捏吧塞回去，继续前行。是的，他们没有黄袍加衣，他们没有皇冠加冕，他们有的只是一腔热血。在遇到比自己更强大的敌人时，拔出利剑，高喊一句：“来吧！”他们就是 Top Esports。
Man, that's gonna be hard, I can tell you that for sure.
上单369，打野熊熊，中单 Knight， 下路 LokeN， 辅助 Ben， 教练白色月牙。
DX Master's going hard, man.
You can feel the energy, even
I'm
though
loving it.
he might be very far away. We can feel the energy from this spot onwards. And look, when he introduced that team, especially looking at the top side of it, it looks so damn strong.
Exactly. The bottom side, as we said, something they have to worry about, but 369 in the top lane, Shung Shung, aka XX in the jungle, Night 9 in the mid lane, and LokeN and Ben rounding out the bottom side. DX Master, I'm understanding about 3 words he's saying.
Give us
I
more.
am so
接
ready.
下来，这个舞台上发生什么事，我没有办法告诉你们。也许未知是竞技最大的魅力。
Graceful.
Nice.
A graceful departure.
I'm not used to this. He's got layers. He's like an onion.
And he's coming to steal your job at the very least. Man, that hosting was fine, if I can't say so myself.
I love me some DX Master, but I also love me some League of Legends with BLG versus TOP Esports coming in once again towards this 3rd, 4th place match, and they're looking to locate themselves towards the finals bracket once again. So they have a lot riding on the line. A lot of people would be saying, well, how much does that matter? If you look at Invictus Gaming and how everyone was confident that they were going to do well, turns out you get them into the quarterfinals, they fall down to LNG.
And now,
You don't want to risk that if
Yeah.
you're TOP.
exactly. So everything is on the line. And even though they are still secured into the play-ins, they want to be in first place. They want to skip all of the rest of the competition. They want to see what the meta looks like from other people's perspective as well. This is a good chance, but still a reminder that this third place game and also the finals will be on 9.15. So a lot of familiarity of what we're used to, not a particularly big patch when we take a look at the changes from 9.14. So it'll really be up to the defined play styles. When we talk about top esports in particular, you've got the jungle. You know, you can never talk about Knight without talking about XX as well. His wingman always around, ready to get him ahead, ready to help 369 as well. Because in the top side, like we mentioned earlier, the GP, the Vladimir, a lot of attention required. But if you give that attention, boy, they become very strong champions very quick.
Yeah, and it's interesting if you look at these statistics here because there's two ones you want to look at. Gold difference at 15 and Baron percentage because it tells the story that we've been telling about TES versus BLG this entire time. Top esports, they're going to be so strong in that early game. They were just going to try and crush you down with those solo lanes. But when you get to the later stages of the gaming, that's where they and BLG still shine. Top esports going off the strength of their early game, Bilibili going off the strength of their macro. The similar Baron percentages, that's how BLG like to win. For top esports, that's how they slam it home after they've already dominated you.
It goes further than just the statistics. It comes from their champion picks as well. When you take a look at the jungle, you've got Gragas, you've got J4 for XX, which obviously means the top want to play aggressive and want to play early on. Whereas over on the other side, Rek'Sai, Silas, very good at getting you towards the 30-minute mark. And what is waiting for you at the 30-minute mark? Glad you asked, because there is, of course, an Azir in the mid lane that Kuro has been playing a lot of in these playoffs.
Yeah, well, Azir Corki, that's been sort of the joking plague that everyone had been talking about on 9.15. They're like, oh my god, Azir Corki's everywhere. It's in the LEC, it's in the LCS. What are we going to do? How are we going to escape it? Well, usually I'd say come on over to the LPL, but Kuro has been absolutely stomping around on those two picks.
Look, and for any other team, I would say that's a bit of a snooze fest, and it's a bit of a cop-out because you don't really want to go out there with your mid lane picks, especially seeing as Kuro is not really known as an aggressive assassin player. However, for BLG in specific, I love it. I loved his Azir play because earlier on in the playoffs, he actually paired it with his jungle who got a Kindred as well. One of the greatest pairings there is because Kindred puts down her ulti, all of your enemies rush in, they just get bopped out with the shifting sands as well. So of course it is a nice duo to have for your team. And I like the creativity that BLG does that very few other teams do, because other teams that pick out Azir, they just say, I want to have a very nice and safe mid lane. I don't really want to get him ahead, but I don't really want them to fall behind as well. But yeah, BLG really cemented.
I want to see what BSYY and Coach Sim have in store for us coming into the draft, because for Kuro, this is such an incredibly important matchup. Normally, we're not going to see him just absolutely slamming down the laners. His style, especially last split, but still remains a little bit this split, was more to roam and help the side lanes. But Knight just slams in those mid lane matchups. He is the golden left hand. FLICKR Jr., you know, best mid laner in the world, whatever you want to call him. He's been talked about a lot for good reason, because he is that mechanical monster, and up against Kuro, who doesn't have that same level of lane dominance. For BLG, that is a big concern.
That's really the difference. So we got to keep our eyes on the early game to see where XX goes, because if he pairs up with Knight, we've already seen the devastation that they can cause. We already talked about the early game. We already talked about the fact that Knight has such a deep champion ocean at this point that he can pick out pretty much any counter pick. But more to your point, if Knight gets ahead early, you should expect him to roam, especially to the bottom side. If you 4-man, even 5-man with the TP down there, then it's nigh unstoppable. And that is really one of the hardest counters towards BLG. If you could disrupt their safe road to 20 minutes, safe road to 30 minutes, then that could be the start of their downfall.
If they make it to that later stage of the game, though, that is where top esports need to start being a little bit concerned, because in their playoff series versus RNG, and they kind of fell a little bit flat on the macro in the later stages of the game. They had this beautiful composition. They were like, okay, we can 1-3-1. Let's not do that at all. Let's give up the side lanes and let's try and push it down. Those kind of mistakes are the kind of mistakes that BLG, more than any other team, is going to know how to capitalize on. They are all about the macro. They're all about the late game.
Of course. So when you rely on your mechanics, there is, of course, something at fault, and that is your wider knowledge of the game. And when TOP went against RNG, a lot of priority down onto the bottom lane. It's usually how Knight wants to play, but XX also went down there without getting anybody else ahead. And you're playing into RNG, one of the most bot lane-centric teams in the world. So if they haven't done their prep against BLG, if they don't know, shut down top lane and just make sure sure that bottom lane gets a very safe pick. I mean, Varus is a really good one, and of course Yuumi should be banned most of the time. Then that is really the place that BLG can counter them. It is really up to TOP. They've got so many tools at their disposal. We've seen them time and time again take down so many of these, so many of the teams in the LPL in the early game, but sometimes they just mismanage it as to where and when.
It's interesting because you look at their game time and it's about 30 minutes. Third fastest in the league, yes. But that's because when they have really quick games, they're really damn quick.
Oh yeah.
But when they have longer games, I mean, the 2 longest games so far in this split have been TOP Esports Series at 52 and 53-minute games respectively. If you try and pull that against BLG, they are just going to smack you down for it.
They've got so much coordination, and while you do say that BLG is a good team fighting team, Top Esports are good at skirmishing. The 2v2s, the 3v3s, that's the differential that we have to watch out for in this first game.
Of course, we're going into draft now, and BLG have already banned everything out. Top Esports finally locking their last ban, so BLG taking away the Yuumi, the Akali, and the Elise. Top Esports answering with Olaf, Silas, and Aatrox bans. A lot of focus on the jungle.
Yeah, but one interesting thing is that Top hasn't actually prioritized the jungle matchup. So, of course, you've got the Shyvana still on board, and you've got the Qiyana. Now, of course, the Qiyana can be flexed, and the Shyvana has very clear counters, but I'm still looking forward to BLG, especially the jungle pickup, because Meteor has shown that he can pick up pretty much anything under the sun, play towards that early game, and really disrupt Top Esports before they can get ahead. Let's see if he goes to that direction, or let's see if he goes more towards the scaling, because he was known for the Olaf can't play at this game.
Tom Ken's going to be locked in there for BLG, and Top Esports going to answer with a support of their own. They're going to pick up the Rakan. Would expect a Xayah pickup here, but also the hover there for the Gragas. This is one of XX's most popular champions, or most successful champions, and I expect him to pick it up here. Because if you're going to put him on anyone, put him on that Gragas 10 times out of 10, or Jarvan.
Still a very good champion for him. He's got 7 games and 6 victories on this Jarvan, so very in the wheelhouse for XX, but they don't actually pick up the Xayah, and this is actually really strange, because when you take a look at the bottom lanes, Jinjiao is not known to be an Ezreal player. In fact, the only known Ezreal player in the league is LokeN, but taking it away from him means that he needs to go off of his comfort zone and go for something else safe. Having said that though, Varus is extremely safe, can match the poke with his piercing arrow as well, and with the Rakan to boot, not a bad matchup, especially into a TK.
Well, you're talking about matching the poke at this point, Creature, and look at BLG's composition at this point. It's really hard to match both Ezreal and Corki there. We've talked about it before coming into the pick bans. Kuro is going to know exactly how to play this. He's got plenty of experience on it because we've had plenty of time for him to work on it here in 9:15. So a little bit concerned if he gets to the poking stage of things.
And also tunneling very hard onto the late game. BLG already drafting towards this style. Jungle is still conveniently open, and Top know this band off the Gragas because Gragas is a nice all-round early game jungler. But like I mentioned, the 2 other ones that Meteor has really pulled out for the playoffs and made a name for himself on, that's really where we have to take a look at. Does the Qiyana actually warrant a ban? Or will Top let it through?
If I were a betting man, I would say they're going to let it through here because I don't think it earns like a 100% pick ban priority from him there.
Yeah, and also Kuro is not really known as an assassin, so if he was practicing, maybe that would be out in the wheelhouse, but of course the Sejuani ban means that they don't respect Kuro's assassin play enough to take that off, and if there is a Qiyana in the jungle, very easy ways to disrupt that. A roaming Rakan along with a J4 could definitely put hell into an assassin.
And I'm liking the Sejuani ban as well because that plays along to BLG's style. Strong enough early ganks to affect the lanes, but once you get in the later stages of the gaming, that's a scaling hyper tank. You've got problems. And the Gangplank ban, smart against Top Esports.
Yeah, because that is one of the most played champions for 369. Another good one is the Vladimir, obviously hovering it now. Would be a nice way to give themselves a guarantee into the late game. Of course, if a game goes that far behind, you can obviously have the insurance, and 369 has played it a lot. If I take a look at my notes, 5 wins out of 7 games that he has played. So a very nice champion for him. He's got the experience, and it does mean that XX should be focusing on that top side a lot more.
Oh, lock it! Lock it!
Don't play with our hearts.
Don't you do this.
Come
the
on.
Shyvana, we've seen Meteor perform on it before, and it combos well with the Corki and the Ezreal with the amount of poke it pulls out. He's the only one to pull it out, and he might not pull it out again today.
Look, I don't want to see it into this comp in specific because you've got a Varus. A Varus controls the Dragon Pit so heavily, so that means that Shyvana can never get there once he gets his level 6. So very smart pickup in response.
Breaking my heart here, both you and Meteor, but he will get the Skarner. Yep, he will get the Skarner. He'll pick up the Gnar on top of it. Oh, All right, I'm not even going to talk about that one, Knight. Let's talk about the Skarner and the Gnar for the time being.
Okay, so of course the Gnar is a very good counter to Vladimir because you have got the range. I shouldn't say counter, but it's a very strong matchup in the sense that you shouldn't get poked out. But I wouldn't even discredit this in its entirety because Echo, along with any other burst mage in the mid lane, he can do very well into Corki. That's what I said. The hardest counter to Corki traditionally was Silas. Echo does very much the same thing at the very least before level 6. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. Knight definitely wants to kill his opponent in the laning phase.
Knight, Echo in playoffs.
Yeah.
This is what I want to see. I was expecting BLG to be the one pulling out every last stop, pulling in every new composition, every new idea imaginable, but instead it's Top Esports. They want to put Knight on something they trust him to carry on. I'm going to be spending most of my attention on this mid lane.
And that's a good place to look, Niberia, because if you take a look at that Echo, he wants the early game advantage. Actually taking TP because he respects the amount of poke that can come out of the Corki, but you don't need that extra burst damage when you've got a Jarvan inside of your team comp as well. After all that's being said though, bot lane's very even, top lane is very even with the range as well, so the only mismatch is of course Knight, and that's the way that Top Esports wanted to set this up. They wanted every other lane to be self-sufficient, and they wanted the mid lane to be popping off. They've got the resources to do so, and they're looking for the execution.
We were talking about this Echo as being a fantastic pick, and we were talking about Knight as having one of the deepest champion pools, a champion ocean as you put it. This is his first time picking it. No picks in the regular split. So we get something fresh. We get something fresh from the mid laner of TOP Esports, and I am so unbelievably excited to see it.
It is a fresh game, it is a fresh champion, but the playstyle is so similar to how Knight likes to go. He likes to assassinate, he likes to get that early burst down, he likes to call his jungle, and every single piece has fallen into place. Whereas if you take a look at BLG, the late game scaling as well with the Ezreal and the Corki, they're looking just as comfortable with their picks. So it really will be up to Top to disrupt BLG. We have to see how much of a lead they can get before 20 minutes.
It's all about the early game versus late game pendulum here in BLG versus Top Esports. Who will take the lead and the crown? Will it be Top Esports early game bringing them to a victory, or will BLG hold fast and take it out in the later stages of the game? We've got Knight's Echo to top it off. The cherry on top for game 1 of the third place match between BLG and Top Esports. Unfortunately, I don't hear the crowd.
No.
I'm sad.
Very late cheers.
Unfortunate. Not going to hear that, but we will see the level 1 going down. BLG just being very defensive on their own red buff, making sure nobody's coming in there. They will spot out 369 on the top side of the map. It's going to be the electrocute coming in for Knight's Echo, and I'm excited to see it. He's got plenty of burst. He's going to be able to get onto that Corki and give him some pain.
That's naturally what you should expect. So obviously when you take something into the mid lane and you also don't take Ignite, especially onto an assassin, onto a burst mage like the Echo, you want to take the electrocute just so you can get the extra damage down. And with XX taking it as well, this means that he's going to have a shocker of a time into Kuro. Now, this is very interesting because we're actually taking a look at Kuro's runes. He's got the Thirst for Blood as well, which means he wants to sustain every time he orders Knight to make sure that he can stay healthy so that he doesn't get 100 to 0. It's a smart little matchup, but once again, Corki is squishy regardless, so you can still be 100-0.
Kuro doesn't feel like he can bully him out at all. Doesn't feel like the Klepto is going to be safe enough, especially with this matchup. So hopefully Knight gets punished a little bit, but he does have the minion dematerializer for that early laning phase once that starts going. But in the meantime, it's going to be a very, very calm early game so far, and I just want to see Knight pop off on this pick. His first time picking it here.
It'll come eventually. However, it's going to take a little bit of time. Of course, you have to wait until his first back. A Sheen is always very nice to get the extra damage. Let's talk about the bottom lane, because while it doesn't look that spectacular, you've just got double TPs for the ADCs. What that means is that they don't really want to give up any pressure. It's a very safe lane, but it does mean that if there are early ganks, especially coming in from Meteor, could do a lot of good work. Very good slowing potential down from XinMo, and while we are looking a little bit towards the future where maybe turrets are taken down, if Jinjiao can get the Iceborne Gauntlet as well, facilitates Meteor getting into that team very, very fast.
Of course, once he gets those boots pick up, he will be able to get off the ganks with Predator. Ben's been spotted out here by the minions, but doesn't seem to matter. Still goes in for the engage. Be a decent trade onto the side of BLG, but they answer back with a little bit of poke onto Ben.
Yeah, and look, once again, just going down to it, it's very unlikely that BLG is going to give up that much onto the bottom lane. Ezreal, a very safe champion by himself, but with the TK as well especially, looks like you're not diving this this bottom lane anytime soon.
Not at all. And of course, not going to need the safety for the Varus. We often see that picked up with the Tahm Kench, but since they know they're not going to be abused, they have that team fight engaged with the Rakan as well. Excited to see that into later stages of the game, but we do have to wait until the junglers make their first move because all the lanes so far seem to be going fairly well for both sides. It's too soon for anyone to have a massive advantage.
Yeah, and this is actually very interesting because Skarner decided to start on the bottom side, whereas Jarvan decided to start on the top side, which means that XX is going to have a very good path into the bottom lane. Naturally, that would be facilitated by BLG shoving in. However, Top actually decided to go ahead, which means that he doesn't actually have a lot of good avenues in order to get into there. Of course, a really good gank path for Jarvan is always the brush gank, where you camp in there, where you sweep it out, or even put a red ward down to make sure that you're not spotted. But it does require a bit of extra room.
And in the mid lane, that was plenty of shove coming out from Knight, who's going to be teleporting back into the wave, and he's just been pushing Kuro under tower. Eventually, Kuro's going to have to run out of mana and get out of there, but Knight picked himself up both the Dark Seal and the Fairy Charm to stay in this mid lane. He's in it for the long run at this point.
Yeah, he most definitely is. And when you take a look at BLG, once again, even the jungle wants to scale. So, moving backwards for XinMo.
XinMo is in trouble. Ignite's already gone down. There's no more poke coming out. Level up plus the Grey Health is going to keep XinMo alive. But look at Knight. He is going deep into the enemy jungle. I think he's just trying to put down a little bit of vision.
Make sure that his bottom lane is not aggressed upon, and the most important thing is the fact that there was still a heal onto XinMo, so even less dive potential from top esports. But I want to focus down onto the top side especially, because while it is a race to level 6 for Meteor, XX is much different. As soon as he got to level 2, he had many good avenues to gank. Foregone them because, of course, the lanes weren't set up in a very good position. But now, with level 5, still with the gank potential over Meteor, he should be making his impact. He was focusing around the top lane. I expect to see him go up there as well. If you take a look at the minimap, Knight is joining him.
Oh no, this is going to be a scary roam up here for ADD, but he already spots it out. Just going to hop away to safety. XX going to plan towards that he knows where ADD is going to be when he gets back, and they're going to back off from this. So good eyes from BLG, good instincts, knowing exactly what was about to happen.
Yeah, well, you kind of need to if you're a late game team, right? As soon as you see anything coming to you and you take a look at the clock, oh, look at that. The first number is not 3. Yeah, no, you don't really want to take that fight. So ADD, once again, actually not a terrible time for him to back, because with the Dorans, usually we say, wow, that's a waste of money, but it's extra sustain into a Vladimir as well. That's what you need.
Uh-oh, Kuro in a little bit of trouble. XX finds the flag and drag, forces away the flash there. Electrocute not going to be too much damage. Knight's hit level 6 with his ultimate, so he's just going to leave the lane a little bit once again. We saw him invade really aggressively onto the Raptors early game, and that is such cockiness. But
he wants it.
He still wants to stun, not going to be able to find it. Might be able to find the kill regardless. Takes Kuro down so incredibly low between the towers. So there's no way Kuro's going to be staying for this one, but
here we
Meteor
go.
Meteor comes in. Not going to look for the gank just yet. Does not have that level 6 for the Impale.
And also, Knight still has his ulti, so a lot of tools to get out of a gank potential. But he actually wants this.
He goes back in. He hits the Z-Drive Resonance, and the ultimate's going to bring him back. The Chrono Break's going to be enough. And now Top Esports taking down the Mountain Drake. This is the explosive early game that we were looking for.
This is it. Top is definitely in their wheelhouse. 1 kill already. Let's see how much further he could take this. Already with the initial burst, he could start stacking up. Take a look. Got the ring as well. He wants to stack up those kills and also assist for his name. And this is a very good beginning for Top.
Shoving in the mid lane, and meanwhile in the bottom lane, Top Esports goes for the engage once again. Jinjiao in a little bit of trouble, healed, blown. Still has the flash available for both of these bottom laners. Flag and drag not going to land. There's a Cataclysm onto XinMo, but XinMo's still alive without using the flash. XX might get chased off here. Top Esports not finding as much as they wanted from that bot lane gank, but they will burn the heal.
Yeah, they were respecting Meteor because they didn't have eyes, so they thought that he could have potentially been there. This is bad for Top.
Oh no, Top Esports, this is exactly the wrong time to do this. XX is still backing.
Boy.
LokeN has to flash away, and Ben not going to find the safety. XinMo picks up the first kill for BLG. But you don't want that going on to the support.
Especially seeing as LokeN just backed off, had to flash as well. Better that he gets out than Ben does and dies as well. So, it wasn't the worst case scenario for Top, but being set back down means that they need to do their work all over again. Getting that initial lead was really good for them, but they must make the climb once again.
Now we're looking at the top lane, and it has been mostly untouched this entire time, and we're seeing the results of that is This Gnar so far is just absolutely bullying out 369. He already picked up the healing reduction.
That's what I was
Double
about to
doors
say.
with Call. Let's take a look at this fight one more time.
Yeah, so he locks up TK, which is the important thing. And while XX thinks that he has enough burst and a very early heal use, this is the point where Top should have moved forward, but because they don't have vision, they thought that Skarner could have potentially been there. So they back off, and while XX gets out very safe and clean, already starts to channel his back, this is where Top's bottom lane goes in. Very questionable because they don't catch anybody, but even if they did, I doubt that they would have won that straight fight.
Let's look at the picture-in-picture here for a minute, because we all know Ben got taken down. That's very sad, but Top Esports just went for an invade on the blue side of the jungle, and despite ADD's strength, they weren't really able to push off Top Esports all that effectively. Blue buff stolen away, I believe, there by XX, so he's going to have a double buff ticking on him while blue buff is still available. If Knight's able to get that, that is infinite shove in this mid lane.
And also infinite poke, mind you, which is so strong because he doesn't even need to take a turret hit when he starts to dive Kuro for just that 3-hit proc. But more to the point, now that Meteor has hit level 7, already got his ultimate on his kit, he can start focusing around the top side of the map. So much control on the bottom side, especially with LokeN's ultimate that can completely hard counter a Skarner from engaging onto your team, means that you would much rather focus on a lane that can't get out. For instance, like a Vladimir, who can pull, but straight after a pull, you could just bring him right back into your team.
Back into shoving out the mid lane, and now we've finally reached a point where we can breathe, Preacher. But at this point, like you said, 369 going to continue to be shoved in. Now, this is a concern that we were having a little bit. We talked about this before the game, where 369, if focus is put into shutting him down, he has trouble bringing his way back, either mentally or just through play. We've seen time and time again, if you want to take down Top Esports, you either go through the bottom lane or you tilt 369 off the face of the planet.
Yeah, that's definitely the two ways to play. Doesn't look like BLG want to focus too much onto the top side. It is a Vladimir, so eventually they're going to have to pay for that in the late game tax. That is, of course, that massive ulti that amplifies everybody else's damage, but still, they're looking to skirmish.
Uh-oh, here comes the Impale. It's going to land on an XX. Kuro goes in, trying to get the engage. Cataclysm comes out as well. The follow-up. XX in a whole lot of trouble. Has to flash away, but it doesn't look like BLG can find anything else. Top Esports still aggressing onto that Raptor camp.
Great roam from XinMo as well, just to neutralize the entire situation. We were saying beforehand that while BLG is a better team fighting team, Top is an infinitely better skirmish team with 2v2s and 3v3s, so they just want to disengage the situation. Even though they have 3 members and they had the ultimate from TK, they don't want to extend the chase any further than they need to just disengage.
Oh, Knight coming up for the top lane roam. Meanwhile,
Do-si-do.
Yeah, there is a Skarner in the area, though, so Meteor should respond to this. Not going to be able to find the CC onto ADD just yet. There's the Z-Drive Resonance plus the Electrocute. ADD has to flash away. There's the Chrono Break coming up, but Shelly resets as well. So Knight's Roam going to be able to stop Meteor from soloing away the Herald.
It was a respect ultimate from Knight because he knew that that ultimate could have condemned him to death from Meteor. In the end, not a very strong roam. But that is the playstyle that Knight is really known for, moving around the map and making sure that his top and bottom lane get some of his own assistance. And he doesn't lose out in that much, honestly, because while he was away, Kuro's shoving in the mid lane, which means very little chance for him to dive, very little need for him to ultimate to get out of anything.
I mean, we talked about the Echo Shove potential as well, and we're seeing it on display here. 1Q, now that he's level 9, is enough to fully clear the back wave. If you're able to shove out with all the mana sustain you have, all the AP you have, you can make those roams and you don't lose all that much, which is why Knight is still even in CS, despite the 4 or 5 roams he's already made.
And a quick point to mention is also that he got his Proto Belt very fast, which means that he's got that added potential. Ben's looking, but so is XinMo just to disengage.
XinMo's there for a little bit of safety, and Knight's going to just have to clear out this wave real quick. Perfect CS under tower. Ah, so beautiful.
And more importantly, this is exactly what we were looking forward to. With the Varus, of course, available, it means that Meteor can never really get any priority around the Drake pit unless he hard ganks, but scratch that. He looks like he wants to actually go for something very aggressive. This is not in Meteor's wheelhouse. He doesn't want to go towards that direction. He can just get rooted down so hard by the Varus' ultimate and just get taken down before he can have any impact. So he shouldn't be focusing around this, but they recognize the fact that XX is on top lane, and they just want to make a trade. It's a Cloud Drake. It's not one of the best Drakes, but it's what you have to take.
And they saw ban up towards the mid lane as well, so they knew there was no way the full bot lane could contest this. But as a result, Top Esports are going to be able to trade away the Herald. So Cloud Drake for Rift Herald. And in an early game team like Top Esports, I'll take that Herald.
Yeah, I'll take that Rift Herald. Of course, the Cloud is good, but can he get away? Yeah. Shout out to Soaz, because Soaz is here for the finals, and that was a nice Soaz TP to get himself out.
BLG going to be able to push away onto this top lane. Should be able to pick this one up for the first tower. There's no way that an Ezreal and a Tahm Kench are going to take away the tower before you can get it taken away here.
No, I mean, he's
With
got the
four
Sheen,
man.
but yeah, still unavailable.
There's 4 people topside.
Yeah, it's a Rift Herald as well. You're never winning that race, and more to the point, because you completely moved everybody else away, top can push for a secondary.
Here comes the parallel convergence. Not going to be able to find the stun, I assume, because the Observer just ran away. But that first tower blood is going to be going on the 3-6-9, and LokeN split up evenly. So 2 of the carries for top esports already going to be getting the gold they need in their pockets.
Very scary, because as a late game champion like the Vladimir, getting those resources to make sure that he doesn't have that abysmal early game means that 369 can have a mid-game impact, group up with the rest of his team. Extremely scary for BLG if they decide to do the same, because that is the playstyle that they're known for. And look at the timing. Still before 20 minutes, still before the 25-minute mark when BLG are really comfortable in fighting, and it's really starting to hurt because top hasn't got the lead that they really needed, but they still have got that early turret to maybe fix that up a little bit.
That said, with all the roaming that top esports have been doing, they've been sacrificing their CS a little bit. You can see in both the top and bottom lanes, LokeN and 369 are down in CS because you have to back off if your support's roaming towards the mid lane.
And in all honesty, they're not known as a CS team, right? They're never going to have that high CS because they roam so much, because they move Knight around with XX. But just managing to hold their own is very commendable. Checking out the turret plates, it is 5 on the top side for top, whereas 3 on the bottom side for BLG. Clear advantage because of the Rift Herald.
Weren't able to trade away the full tower in time, and it looks like already top esports are rotating into a 1-3-1 positioning with Knight going down in towards that bottom lane. 369 staying up in the top, so this is what they want towards the later stage of the game. You have an Echo who can 1v1 pretty much anyone, and 369 can at the very least hold his own.
And this is still very strong. So while BLG can hold this one out, it is still very well within the wheelhouse of top to just bust this game wide open for themselves, because you've got LokeN in the mid lane. That's so much CC that you can lock down. If you can get 1 person or even 2 with your ulti, all of a sudden Ben engages. And then there's a dunk potential from XX. So the grouping is real. Top are definitely still within their element, but this game is slowly creeping away from them, because we are getting to a late game where the gold differential, honestly, is not that much between BLG and top, and BLG thrive when they get to late game.
Yep, just an 800 gold lead. And while we're looking at that, though, what are BLG looking to do at this point to keep themselves in this? What is the trigger button for top esports where it says, okay, BLG, you no longer can come back?
Honestly, the hero is XinMo right now. He is moving around everywhere, trying to anticipate where XX is going to be, neutralizing every single gank that top has available. And if he can continue to do this, then it means that BLG are free. And when I talk about BLG, I'm talking about Meteor especially, because he's just been farming, hard farming his jungle whenever these camps come online. And take a look, a lot of resources in his wheelhouse.
Meteor going to have plenty as will Knight. He's going to be able to pick up the blue buff there. 1-0-0. It's a very classic BLG game that's going on right now, which is they may give up a kill or 2, but my God, it's a struggle to get any more out of them.
But take a look. They look better than the playstyle that they had in the regular split, because they gave up a kill, sure, but then they picked one up as well, and once they neutralize it, they don't push any more of a lead because they know that that would be greedy and they don't have the tools available. Very beautiful play, just to wait it out. And honestly, with the distribution, especially once again going back to XinMo, protecting any lane that looks like it's about to get ganked, you have to say, it's very nice execution.
Knight going to try and defend this turret, but Trinity Force has been completed by Kuro, so he's going to be able to put a lot of chunk down onto that tower. Looks like as the Dragon is spawning in 45 seconds, top esports looking to secure vision around it in the time being.
Oh, that's big. Okay, so while the Dragon,
down.
the Dragon is coming up soon, it looks like it's going to be hard control by top esports. Cannot stress the point enough that Varus is so strong around the Dragon and even the Baron pit, but we're talking about Dragon in specific. And when you go down there, when you group up as BLG, as that team is known to do, you could really counter yourself because everybody can get locked up in those tendrils.
And LokeN's hit that level 9 point as well. He's got the Blade of the Ruined King, so plenty of damage onto these objectives if they want to take it. XX going to go in for the Flag and Dragon to find XinMo. XinMo still has the flash available, going to flash out of the Cataclysm. Now it looks like Kuro just trying to poke off as best he can. Knight takes the Electrocute off the back of it. Now the Cloud Drake in full contention here. Top esports should be able to take it away.
Yeah, BLG shouldn't really be looking this way because top lane is still isolated by themselves, so it's going to be a straight 4v4. Doesn't look great for BLG. They sort of have to cede it.
Teleport coming in here for Knight as well. Actually, that's going to be LokeN. Apologies. So he's going to be able to join into the fight. Meteor looking for the steal potential. He's going to steal it away, but the fight starts off Meteor going to go golden in the backline. In the meantime, he's going to be able to find the Impale onto Ben. Ben in a lot of trouble. Goes golden himself. The chase is coming in here from XX and Knight. But will they be able to find anything? It looks like BLG have made a clean disengage after stealing away the second Drake.
And even better for them because they got that Drake. Such a strong composition for Skarner in specific because you want that extra movement speed to get into the enemy's backline. Didn't lose any members for it, even though LokeN had a really nice ultimate that locked down multiple members of BLG. They get out scot-free. That's one of the best case scenarios you can ask for if you're BLG, honestly.
Yeah, Mountain Drake's still going to be in TES's pocket, but the other two Drakes have gone all the way over to BLG. And with 2 Sheen items, they should be able to make quick work of this tower. So Top Esports looking to be sitting on the back foot in the meantime.
Yeah, and I was saying before, 5 minutes ago, still well within the wheelhouse at top, but looking like after that Dragon Steal, it kind of looks like the game is slipping away from them. Knight still has 100-0 potential, but take a look at which champions he's into. He's into a Corki who can package out of there, very long range, got a Valkyrie after that as well. You've got Jinjiao and an Ezreal who can always arcane shift backwards. It's looking harder and harder for him to find a target, and once again, going back to the fact that XinMo can always disengage any single 100-0, yeah, Top Esports win condition is slowly slipping away from them.
It's so hard for them as well because in those big team fights, if they want to try and get picks or skirmishes, anything, they need to have lockdown CC so Knight can actually get onto someone. Like you said, there's the Arcane Shift, there's the Valkyrie to get away for both the Corki and the Ezreal. Hell, even ADD has an escape.
Yeah.
So if you want to get onto someone as Knight, you're going to need lockdown. You either need your parallel convergence to land, or you're going to need XX to lock someone in with Cataclysm. 3 champions can get out of that, by the way.
Yeah, and also that's a very important point, right? Because when we talk about XX, we have to take a look at his impact on this game. Very minimal compared to the Skarner, and while you do have a little bit extra CS, so what? Into a Skarner, so what that you have a little bit of extra CS? He has had so much room to just free farm. Meteor is now to the point where he can insta-run into the enemy team as well. Once we get our items back up, we can see what breakpoint he's up to. And more to the point, this is starting to get to the point where Meteor is outputting more damage than XX.
Uh-oh, 369 in a little bit of trouble. Not going to be able to find the ultimate there. 369 blows the Hemo Plague defensively, gets a little bit of a heal there, but he's still struggling in this top lane, down by 30 CS, and that's pings onto the Baron. It's 20 minutes, but they're just going to clear out the vision.
It's not what you want. You don't want to burn your ulti so close to a Baron. Of course, I doubt that BLG is going to turn their head towards the Baron so soon. They simply want to get some vision control over it. But nonetheless, if there was an emergency Baron that was called by BLG because they know that they have vision advantage, Top can't contest.
And if you look as well, Meteor has Flash, he has Smite, he has Impale up. So if they're able to find a pick around this Baron pit, that's lights out for Top's chance of taking it away. And the next Drake as well is going to be another important point of contention. 2 minutes, it's an Infernal.
And it kind of looks as if the Drakes really did favor BLG. First 2 Cloud Drakes, not that important for Top at the very least. Very little contention, even though Top went towards it for the second Drake. But still good enough for BLG's comp because they got a Tahm Kench and also a Skarner. Now that their comp has sort of come online and the next Drake is coming up very soon, it's an Infernal Drake out of all Drakes. So kind of looks like RNG's is definitely working the way of BLG.
Chain of Corruption coming in, the flash away from Jinjiao. The Cataclysm's been burned.
Oh,
all
boy.
the CCs onto XinMo, but I don't know if that's who you want to know there for Top Esports, but they have the numbers, and they'll find the support dead in their sights. Now they're going to be pushing down mid lane as 5. Ultimate not going to be enough to clear out the wave there from Jinjiao. This tower is getting mighty low, but here comes Kuro. He's got the package available. Meteor has the Impale onto XX. XX goes golden after finding the flag drag. Parallel convergence as well. 369 goes into the backline. He's able to find Jinjiao. They're diving in. Knight's able to find a kill on the back as well. Top Esports just explode BLG.
Grouping up before 20 minutes, Top completely annihilate them. And that is the perfect time, coincidentally, to turn their sights towards the Baron.
Now they're going to be able to find it. We were talking about how BLG, you know, if they want to set up for it, they're going to have to clear vision. No, Top Esports say, screw that. We're just going to kill everyone and rotate ourselves.
It was so smart, but more important, good execution. Pulling the trigger because they knew that Kuro had backed. And even though Kuro had a teleport, didn't use it on the turret because it could have been taken down to focus down very quick. In the end, had no effect.
ADD wants to try and stop this. They're going to try and chase out, but Ben's going to be able to get away with the E. Looks like he's going to have the flash over the wall. But at the very least, even if you sacrifice this support, that's still 4 people with the Baron. That looked like a tilt flash there from ADD.
Yeah.
He will find the kill, but I'm not sure that was worth taking the Baron buff off for a flash.
Yeah, definitely not. But look, you got to take whatever you can get, of course. A kill is a kill, and ADD needs that, especially going into a Vladimir who got nearly full plates from that very first Rift Herald. So once again, turning our eyes towards BLG, while they did have an easy way to scale, they lost out in that mid-game teamfight. Take a look right now. Kuro is back in base. He has teleport, opted not to use it. Obviously, the Cataclysm's best target is XinMo because XinMo has no tools to get out. And while he does make himself go golden, it's just not enough defense to take it. But look at this. The second part of it was Meteor looking for an engage down onto XX. The calls were crisp. Take down the turret first, there's no damage potential from there, and then everybody collapsed down into Meteor, who can't get out fast enough.
The absolute insane amounts of rundown from the composition of top esports. Because we were talking about, you know, oh, they don't have all that much CC, but it looked, if you look at that replay again, they didn't need it. Knight went so far, as did 369 with all that movement speed.
Yeah, and look, you pointed it out. There are 3 champs who have tools to get out of a Cataclysm. You've got the Nai, you've got the Corki, you've got the Ezreal. None of them were the targets of the Cataclysm. It was XinMo. And while it is a support, if you take one member down, you can straight 5-man dive them. That's what Top thought. That's what they knew. They executed it, and it looks so good. So while we said that this game was slipping away from them, they have now firmly grasped it back in. And while the gold lead doesn't necessarily reflect the plays that they've been doing, they want to start making it so with the Baron buff pushing.
The Baron buff will allow them to take up that top lane tower, and it looks like they'll be able to secure a little bit of a gold lead of their own. ADD in the meanwhile going to be pushing down into the bottom side, but if you're top esports, you have a Baroned up minion wave. You're letting the Gnar split push, sure, but he doesn't have teleport. Your top laner does.
And look, this is really what we were looking for. The ultimate comes out from LokeN, so he's trying to force people off.
Going to be able to take down about a third of that tower, and ADD will take down the tower in the bottom lane. He's still going for this. 369 did not end up backing, so there's no one to defend it, but no way for ADD will finally stop that push. 1-for-1 in tower trades. That's actually not bad for BLG.
Yep, BLG actually managed to neutralize it, having all set. But still, that was really good division from Top. Top still have a little while onto the Baron buff. It doesn't look like it's long enough to take down any of the inner turrets. But still, they managed to make that definitive lead for themselves. More than a 1k means that they are still in fighting form. But we are slowly approaching the mark, Niberia. 25 minutes into the game. Very close to 30 minutes where BLG really turn online. I don't want to see the item breakpoints or the gold. I want to see when BLG decide to group, because that is when they are most fearful. And while Top have built this lead, it's slowly once again slipping away because they haven't managed to find the cohesive lead that they needed. They pushed with those 2 turrets, but like you just said, a return from ADD in the bottom lane means that it's more or less neutralized.
Looks like they're just still dedicating ADD to that 4-1 split push. You know, his itemization is even working out for it. He's got the healing Russian, he's got the Wit's End to 1v1 the Vladimir successfully, plus the Black Cleaver, so they're just leaving him on split push duty. Guess they think they can defend on their own. So far, they've been proven right. But will top esports finally engage here in the bottom side?
And it's also a good build into the team in general, because you've got the Vladimir, you've also got the Echo. So both of those 2 main damage sources are going to be reduced onto ADD. That's what he needs when he goes into the backline. We're yet to see an influential Gnar ult, but it's still in the wheelhouse, and knowing BLG, just because we haven't seen it yet, doesn't mean that it's not waiting for us.
Well, we're talking about the top laner's influence, and I think as well, 369, he just hit his 3-item power spike. He's got the Proto Belt, he's got the Twin Shadows, and he has a death cap. He's 2-0-1. This is a very, very scary Vladimir.
Yeah, I mean, he is to the point where he can now start grouping with his team. He no longer has a split push, although he is very strong to do so. But if that Vladimir can get a multi-man ultimate, especially with Knight in the wings ready to burst anybody who gets caught by that, it's just good night. Because there are 2 very squishy targets. You've got Kuro, you've got Jinjiao. They've still got the escape potential, but it doesn't look like it's going to work.
Uh-oh, they're going to be looking for the pickup here onto 369. 369, double teleport coming in. Abyssal Voyage, sorry, 1 teleport as well. Impale goes down to 369. Will he be able to survive? Not able to find the Crimson Rush, but there's the Impale. The shutdown. BLG have everyone here. So many members rotated up for that. They're able to take down 369.
Yeah, and what's the point? Knight teleported in, but then ulted himself back into the bottom lane. Once everything was said and done, he said, okay, 369 is pretty much dead already. I'm just going to continue pushing. One of the best choices that he's made so far, but still, his teammate was left for dead. 2-0, now 2-1. Vladimir's still in a very good position, but it is now BLG's game to see what they can get.
You got to feel a little bit bad for Knight, though. He's like, all right, guys, I'm here to help. Whoa, nope. Nope, gonna go back bot lane. A little bit more calm down there.
Walking in with pizzas, right, and everything's on fire. That's pretty much not. Did not look like a good situation for him.
No, he's not having a whole lot of fun. Well, he wouldn't have fun in that engage, but he's 3-0-1. He's got a death cap of his own.
Oh, yeah, he's been assassinating Kuro.
Yeah,
that looked pretty
good.
The
AP carries here for top are absolutely popping off. Not a 3rd item available there for LokeN just yet, but he's not been having the greatest game, of course, down 50 CS. Hasn't died yet, to his credit. And Top Esports, they've tied up the gold lead at this point. They had the lead in the early game, but as it goes later, as we've been talking about this whole game, BLG will start to shift.
Tying it up is not good enough. Kuro is looking for a flank.
Oh, he's going to be able to find a great special delivery. XX has to flash out of his own Cataclysm. That is 2 key abilities taken away from this Infernal Drake
And
fight.
it was so close as well. Great play from XX to actually lock everybody up and then get himself out of there. But still, because he got out, because this Drake is up right now, it means no contest from top.
Oh my god,
no,
XX is just going to get taken down on the side.
What was that?
Assassin Corky.
Didn't even expect Kuro to chase that far.
Jeez, all right.
I mean, that was a lot of burst, admittedly.
Oh, 100%. You got the Infinity Edge, you got the Trinity Force, you got the Electrocute. Now are they going to be able to find the engage? Flash away from ADD. Bam will find the knock-up. Here comes LokeN, flashes in as well. So does 369. That Gnar is not long for this world. Shutdown going in favor of 369. That was a huge rocket.
It was. So Kuro's poke is real, but still very well done to Ben, especially because he just caught it out on the edge of his unit model to make sure that ADD was caught up by his ulti, but still 4 for 4 right now. This is bold. This is very bold.
Yeah, because they don't have their top laner. He has teleport once he gets back up, but that's 28 seconds. Everyone is alive here once again from Top Esports. Parallel Convergence gives them vision. Knight's going to go in.
But
can he find it? No. No steal coming in from Top Esports mid laner. He's going to blow his ult for it, and BLG going to have Baron on 4.
Yeah, he just wanted to gamble because, of course, there's a small chance that there's a miss smite, but Meteor's way too adept at this game. Doesn't play chicken. Looks like he's a professional poker player, really, because he didn't even move from that Baron. And securing for his team, BLG. This is the point where it's really fearful. You said a minute ago, top managed to even up the goal, but that's not what you want to look for now that we're so late into the game. You need a definitive lead. At this point, 30 minutes into the game, you need 5k. Are you 5k ahead? No, you're actually down in gold. And BLG, they are scaled, they are online. I expect to see them take 5v5s.
Maul of Malmortius now picked up by Kuro. He's ready for those skirmishes. He's ready for those fights to come out. But the question is where it's going to happen now. With the Baron buff available for BLG, they could theoretically just split push this one to victory. Although, even though ADD doesn't have it, you've got it on all 4 other members.
Yeah, and even then, ADD is still a good split pusher because he's gone for the wit's end, which means he has more attack speed. And Gnar with attack speed is very good because he just gets even more with his hyper. Even more procs means that 369 is going to have a bad time in a 1v1, but Top just want to neutralize that. No 1v1 for you. I'm actually just going to group up. This is a death rush.
Uh-oh. Meteor in a little bit of trouble. He's going to toss away the slow. Should be able to make his way out of it. But Top Esports still advancing into this side of the map. Not sure this is what they want, because if BLG find a flank here, this could spell goodnight for them. But Top Esports, they know ADD is all alone. They're going to be looking for him. He doesn't have flash, finds the hop, but it's not going to be enough to knock up the Cataclysm. There's the parallel convergence. ADD goes into an Mega Gnar, the slam into the wall. He's going to be able to pick up Ben off the backside, but nothing else. And look at BLG. They are running through that mid lane.
Great play from ADD, and more to the point, with the Baron buff as well, BLG can now push mid. Because ADD took 1 member down with him, it means that this is so good for BLG. Their push is superior with the Baron buff. They've got equal amount of members, and now Inhibitor's on the line.
Kuro in trouble now. He's gotten caught out. Maul's popped, flashes away, but still gets shut down by Top Esports. XX going to be looking for the chase on a Meteor. Not going to be able to find it, but Jinjiao and XinMo in the top lane, they're running away. 369 looking for the chase, but in the bottom lane, Knight just takes away the Inhibitor. He's got a Lich Bane. He's got a Rabadon. They might just go for the base race at this point. They're taking down the Nexus Tower, down to half health. They're trying to stop the backs. LokeN not going to be able to find the Q onto anyone, but will it matter? The Baron buff recalls coming in. Half health on the Nexus, 369 and Knight. The duo solo laners of Top Esports take down game number 1 against BLG.
I do not believe it. It was so well played by BLG. They had such a significant lead. We've even changed just for that, just for that ending. I mean, that was crazy, Nibiria. When you get that late, you expect BLG to have a significant advantage because they're used to playing as a 5-man. ADD played out of his mind, took 1 member down with him, even though he got flanked on. You thought, Baron buff, BLG, obviously they're going to close the game because they have Baron buff, but no. Because of that excellent call by Top, by Knight, I should say, it was so well played, it actually swung the other way.
That was an absolutely insane call from Knight. He was just like, I'm pushing. There's the Inhibitor. You know what? Screw it. 369, let's go. Duo, take the solo laners. And those solo laners that they've been feeding the entire game, of course, Knight with his own roams to affect the rest of the map. And 369 had been getting bullied out early, but they let him scale up.
that's it, right? Because even though top were behind in terms of gold, the one thing that they had in their advantage were the two solo laners. Didn't put up that much damage in the game, but honestly didn't even need to. There was a Lich Bane onto the Echo as well, and when you got that proc it all the time in the enemy base, yeah, there's not a lot defending, and you got to give props to everybody else who wasn't there on the end screen as well, stopping those backs for as long as possible, bought just enough time for top to finish it out.
This was a very, very messy game from both sides. It was back and forth. I don't know if I'd say messy as much as back and forth, but
it was, yeah.
There were definitely some plays that made us scratch our heads a little bit because it was just always on a seesaw. Every single time, the gold lead never went past 2,500 gold, so no one was ever fully in control. And in the early game, we were definitely favoring in top esports. And while they did win it out in the end, BLG held in there for so long and kept making play after play to slow down the roll of top.
Yeah, and look, even though BLG managed to secure it so far, they dropped a little bit to top. I'm thinking about the first Baron in specific. It didn't look like it was enough of a deficit. So we always put the onus onto top, especially within this matchup, because we have to say, you need to get a lot of gold on your side. You need to get about 3k when you get out of laning phase. You need to get about 5k when you get to the 30-minute mark. Those conditions were not met, and that was ultimately why they dropped down. However, because of that very close call at the end of the game, they managed to pull it back. So I'm actually looking forward to the future of this series, because top is a team that is very momentum heavy. If they drop the first game, looks like they're going to drop the rest, but they won the first one, so they could potentially carry it through.
We're going to see if they're able to as we get back into game number 2. We'll be back after a short break. Don't go anywhere.